Sunday, take 3. Sorry guys, yeah, I don't know what's been going on tonight. Like, this is the 3rd time I've tried to jump on live and it just kept disconnecting for whatever reason. But hey, we're here now. Q&A Sunday. So if you didn't know, this is actually going to be the final Q&A Sunday for the rest of this year and until further notice. So if you do have any questions on your mind, this is the best time to get those answered, because as I say, I don't know when the next one will be. So yeah, as usual, I've got some questions already preloaded. These are some questions that I've been asked like previously prior to today, and so I'll just get started with those questions. And if you jump on a bit later and you feel like there's anything that you'd like to know that I haven't covered in this session, then please do let me know, and I'll do my best to get that answered in this Q&A session. So yeah, I'm not going to wait any longer because obviously we're 10 minutes late already. So I'll just get started with the first question that I had from somebody, which is basically, yes, also I'm looking at my laptop to read my questions, so if I'm looking down, that's why. So yeah, first question: are there first-time buyer discounts and offers available for investment properties? So yeah, there are no first-time buyer discounts for investment properties. That is the only issue. So if you're somebody that hasn't yet got a residential property, you may want to go the route of getting a residential one first, so that you can like gain all the benefits and all the sort of government incentives that are available to you. Saying that, however, if you are to go for a residential property first, of course you can't do the whole letting out, type thing, because that's a different type of mortgage that you need. However, you can always do a consent to let, which is another route that people do take. So yeah, in short answer is there aren't any discounts for those wanting to get a buy-to-let property as their first property. Okay, so moving on to question number 2. Are there less mortgage options leading to higher interest rates for you if you want a buy-to-let but are a first-time buyer? Now, I wouldn't say there are less mortgage options, but I would definitely say that it may be harder to get a lender that's going to give you a mortgage for the property that you want. Now, I say this because I think a lot of first-time buyers aren't realistic with how much they can afford. And I say that because although it's a buy-to-let property and technically the criteria is based on how much rental income that buy-to-let investment can get, if you're a first-time buyer in general, you don't have another property to your name, a lender is going to want to check that basically your income could cover the mortgage, because at the end of the day, like, you're totally new to this, you've never been a landlord before. So essentially they want to make sure that if you're not able to get a tenant in that property, then your salary or income can actually cover the mortgage payments so that they're not losing out. So yeah, I don't think it's the case that there are less options available to you or that interest rates are going to be higher, but it's just that you need to be realistic. So don't go and try and look for a property that's, way above what you'd be able to afford if you were getting it as a residential. Hope that makes sense. So for the guys that have just joined recently, welcome to Q&A Sunday. So how this usually goes is basically like literally whatever questions you have, property, personal finance, entrepreneurship, like literally anything, throw them my way and I'll get those answered for you in this session. So I'm just going through the questions that I already had like prepared beforehand, because these are just questions that I've been asked previously, so I thought this would be the best time to answer some of those questions. So yeah, please do feel free, if you have anything, just let me know in the comments. So moving on to question 3. Would you consider getting a loan to buy a buy-to-let, or will this affect your mortgage? Now, I don't really understand this question because a mortgage is a loan. So, I mean, I suppose going by what I think this question is trying to say, I think the person's trying to ask if you should get a buy-to-let mortgage alongside a normal mortgage that you already have. If that's the question, then I'd say, yeah, if going into property investment is something that you want to do, then yeah, definitely go for it. It's not going to affect the existing mortgage that you have. Like, that's not an issue. The only thing that would affect your existing mortgage is if you aren't able to keep up with the payments. But outside of that, there's no reason why you couldn't get another buy-to-let mortgage alongside your normal residential mortgage. If it's not a buy-to-let mortgage you're talking about, maybe you're talking about bridging finance. Again, bridging finance, there's no problem. Sorry about that, I had a call come in. You just need to make sure that basically, yeah, if you're going for bridging finance, bridging is something that it's one of those things whereby interest rates tend to be higher. And so if you're going to go for bridging finance, you need to make sure that there's a plan in place so that you can pay off the loan that you took from the bridging company in time, because obviously if you don't pay in time, you're going to be paying a whole lot more interest, and you don't want that. So yeah, when using bridging, it's definitely worthwhile, yeah, factoring in everything and making sure that you're going to be able to pay off that loan in good time. Another question. Right, guys, if you just joined the Q&A, please do feel free to let me know your questions. Just drop them in the comments and I'll answer those for you. Right, the next question that I had: when sourcing a property, in terms of refurbishment, do I factor in the type of kitchen, bathroom, shower, tiles, carpet, or is that done by the builders or the investor? If I have to pick it as the deal sourcer, where do you recommend I go? So when sourcing properties, no, you don't need to go out there and pick like the units for the investment. Like if there's a refurb that needs to be done, all you need to do is work out the estimates for the investor that you're going to pass on the package to. So if it's a property that you know it needs a new kitchen, then you'd probably just say, okay, in terms of the refurb cost, you need about 10k for a new kitchen. You don't yourself have to go out there and find the kitchen unit that's going to need to go in there. Like that's outside of your remit. You just need to put together a deal package that shows them all the expected cost involved in that investment purchase. So guys, please do not be shy. As I said earlier, this is the final Q&A session until further notice. So yeah, I'm not sure when I'll bring this back on again, but yeah, if you do have any pressing questions, anything whatsoever, please do let me know and I'm going to get those answered in this session for you. So next question. So this wasn't actually a question per se. Well, it's more like a video suggestion, but the person was saying, I was wondering if you could make a video about getting a property but you live in as a landlord and rent out in the same property. Can this be done? What are the pros and cons, and how does it differ from a straight buy-to-let property? So yeah, definitely you can buy a residential property for yourself and then decide to rent out, you know, maybe one of the other rooms or all the other rooms available in that property. That is known as getting a lodger. So yeah, you can technically rent out your property in that way without having a buy-to-let mortgage. Now, that's definitely a very good way to go about it if you're finding difficulty in getting a buy-to-let mortgage, or secondly, you need a property to stay in for yourself, but at the same time you'd like to make some money from it. So yeah, it's definitely a good route to go if you want to start off with, like, you know, making money from property. So that's definitely a pro of going that route. Another pro is that you have another like person or the lodger in there to help with paying the bills. In terms of the cons, I would say the only con is that compared to a buy-to-let property, you don't get as much cash flow from the property, because obviously a lodger is not going to pay as much as, you know, if you had a tenant paying for the whole property. So I would say that's the only con. But yeah, outside of that, just make sure if you are going to get a lodger in your residential property, you just tell the lender essentially, and yeah, you should be covered. So it's a less complicated way to start making money from your property. Like there's less regulation on it. So I hope that's answered that question properly. I saw someone put a question in the text box. It always disappears, so I'm not really sure what that question was. If you wouldn't mind just typing it up again, because it's literally disappeared. If you could just type that up again, I'd really appreciate it. Because yeah, this thing tends to have a mind of its own. Thank you. Would you recommend getting a mentor for deal packaging? A mentor, I mean, you could, like with anything, you can always get a mentor to like hold your hand through things. I offer consultations. So like what people usually do with me is they book a call with me and we just go through sort of all the details they're unsure of, because I do have a lot of videos on deal sourcing. I've got a whole playlist, so I will put that in the cards when I'm done with this live session. But yeah, if you wanted to book a call with me, please do feel free to do so. There should be a booking link in my description box that you can access. But yeah, if you want, you can get a mentor. But I think there's a lot of information out there on deal sourcing. and then any other little bits that maybe you're unsure of, you can just I don't know, yeah, you can book calls with people essentially. I don't know if you necessarily need a whole mentor, but it's definitely down to you and what route you want to take. With only around £1,000, what would you recommend I do? I mean, yeah, £1,000 is definitely enough to start a dual sourcing business. That's going to cover all the compliance that you need to get set up. Sorry. So I do have a video on compliance set up for deal packaging. So again, I can also link that in the cards so that you can refer to that later after this Q&A. So yeah, £1,000 is definitely enough to start a dual sourcing business. I'd say you only really need about £600–700. So no worries there. Why am I scared to check my bank account? I don't really understand what that means, but you're so welcome. Guys, yeah, if you have any other questions, then please do drop them in the comments. This is your time, so please do make the most of it. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, guys, so yeah, this is the last Q&A Sunday until further notice. So yes, guys, please do let me know if there's anything else you have. I've been through all of the questions that I had pre-prepared, I believe, so I'll give it a couple more minutes in case you're a bit nervous or shy to throw your questions out there, but please don't be shy. Like, there's nothing to be shy about. So yeah, I'll give you guys a couple more minutes just in case anything comes up. Would getting a job as a lettings negotiator help you as a landlord? I mean, yeah, I think so, because when you say lettings negotiator, do you just mean like a lettings agent? Because if that's the case, yeah, then that's definitely a good route to take, because especially if you're somebody that you want to be a landlord that does everything for yourself, it's good experience because it will give you exposure to how to, you know, create listings and get tenants interested in your property, how to take good pictures, you know, how to do inventory, all those kind of things that are required to essentially be a landlord that's going to do all the bits by themselves. Onboard tenants, get tenancy agreements set up, all that kind of stuff, even the ongoing management. So if there's any issues with the property, how to deal with that, how to get builders involved and different tradesmen and things like that. So yeah, working in a lettings agency is definitely a good step to take and will give you that good exposure that you need. But if you can't get a job in a lettings agency, that's also not an issue. Like property, what I like about property is that it's one of those things whereby it's not rocket science. It just takes a bit of diligence in like doing your reading, research, and getting just getting in, really, just getting stuck in and, you know, taking it step by step. Sorry, Michael, could you just retype that question? It's done that thing where it just comes up and then it disappears again. Would you ever do property full time and leave your job? Yes, that's definitely the plan. Just trying to build that portfolio and get out of the 9 to 5. That is definitely the plan. Guys, any more questions? Sorry, Michael, if you could retype that question. Sorry, I know it's annoying, but it just keeps popping up and disappearing. But yeah, outside of that, if you guys don't have any more questions, I think we'll call it a night. Is there a certain area that you invest? So currently in Luton, and I'm looking further up north as well in Nottingham. Is shared ownership the only way to get a property in London with the current prices? I mean, it's not the only way. You can get angel investors, you can get other investors that you know that maybe are willing to put money together to invest in a property in London. But to be honest, that's the reason why a lot of investors don't buy property in London, because it's just far too pricey now. If you would have done it a few years back, then yeah, it would have made like more sense or been a lot more feasible on your own. But yeah, it is quite tricky getting a property in the core of London because prices are just so like ridiculous. So maybe try on the outskirts, Essex, Kent maybe. I don't know if they sound of interest to you. I mean, because the thing is, with buying properties just on the outskirts of London, you're still going to benefit from the same like increase in house prices. So if you're looking for capital appreciation, buying on the boundaries of London will still give you that, because whatever's going on in London expands and overflows into, you know, the outskirts. So it's definitely worthwhile looking into those areas, Essex and Kent. Did that answer your question? I do have a video on shared ownership as well, actually. So for me, with shared ownership, like, it definitely does make sense, but I think you just need to be very tactical about how you go into it and know what your goals are. So yeah, I have a whole nother video which I'll also link in the card and description box, just so you can get a bit more information about, you know, how to go into shared ownership if it's something that you're thinking about doing. Because you definitely want to go in it like fully equipped, so that you don't get like, you don't lose a lot more money than you plan to gain by doing it. So yeah. So guys, thank you so much for joining tonight. I really do appreciate it. It's really you guys that make these Q&A sessions like so much more fun and lively for myself. So thank you for joining, and thank you also for everyone that's, you know, submitted their questions. It's been great, like, seeing, knowing what's on your minds and getting those questions answered for you. So yeah, thanks once again for joining, and enjoy the rest of your evenings, whatever you get up to, and have a great week ahead. And I'll catch you later. Bye. Thank you. See ya.